History is a powerful tool for understanding our past, shaping our present, and guiding our future. The city of Ilorin, a significant part of the Yoruba nation, has a rich and diverse history. To tell this story accurately, it is essential to rely on credible sources, ensuring that the narrative remains undistorted by time or contemporary biases. This video documentary seeks to shed light on the origins and legacy of Ilorin, referencing one of the most detailed accounts of Yoruba history. The history of Yorubas from the earliest times to the beginning of the British Protectorate, compiled by the Reverend Samuel Johnson, pastor of Oyo, and edited by Dr. O. Johnson in Lagos. Written meticulously and completed in 1897, the book was first published in 1921. It offers a deep dive into the annals of Yoruba history, drawing on both ancient mythologies and relatively contemporary events. Reverend Samuel Johnson relied on the testimonials of eyewitnesses and active participants from the era, ensuring the authenticity and accuracy of the events chronicled. This included revered figures like David Kukomi, the patriarch of the Ibadan Church, and a participant in the wars and national movement of King Abiodun's time. Other notable sources include Josiah Oni, an intrepid trader and observer of many pivotal moments in Yoruba history, and the distinguished Lagunju Litimi of Ede, recognized for his impeccable historical record on the Yoruba nation. The crux of our narratives revolved around the early 19th century, a tumultuous period for Ilorin, marked by the story of Afonja and the eventual takeover by the Fulani in 1817. It is important to stress that this narrative is supported by accounts from individuals who either witnessed this event firsthand or were directly involved in them. That said, while the Fulani established the current terminal system in Ilorin following Afonja's demise, it is vital to approach the subsequent evolution of the city with a balanced perspective. Over time, multiple narratives have emerged, some shaped by contemporary religious interpretations. It is crucial to acknowledge that the passage of time often introduces varying interpretation to historical events. Our intention is to provide a comprehensive account of Ilorin's history without diminishing or disparaging any tribe or religion. It is an exploration of fact, relying on credible sources and genuine testimonies to understand the intricate tapestry of events that have shaped this great city. By revisiting these stories, we aim to celebrate our shared heritage, recognize our past, and look forward to a united future. The late Afonja hailed from Ilorin, a city established by his great-grandfather Ladini. The lineage of Ladini held dominion for 4 successive generations. After Ladini, his son Basin took the mantle, a brave chief who resisted the renowned Basharon Gar at the height of his power. Fearing Basin's influence, Gar exiled him from Ilorin and Basin found refuge in Ola. Gar's forces pursued him there, ultimately capturing and slaying him. Basin's valiant son Alagbin succeeded him, subsequently passing on the leadership to his courageous son Afonja, where it reached its end. Ilorin is sometimes referred to as Ilorin Afonja due to his prominence as its most illustrious ruler. Moreover, it was Afonja who transformed the town into a sprawling city it stands as today. In the vicinity of Ilorin were numerous towns and villages including Kanla, Okesuna, Gomo, Eleyinjare, Idofian, Okeoyi, Ibare, Igbegun, Iresa, and much more during the time. These restless warriors gradually subdued many of them, resettling their inhabitants around Ilorin to bolster its growth. Able-bodied men were drafted into his military rank, while women and children were sold into slavery, providing the means to sustain and arm his forces. The Yoruba land, especially the city of Ilorin, became a significant contention during the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Afonja, a powerful Yoruba general, was the Kakanfo, a military title meaning the commander-in-chief of the Oyo army of the Oyo Empire. He rebelled against the Alaafin, the king of the Oyo Empire, and eventually declared Ilorin independent from Oyo. The Oyo Empire was structured in such a way that the Alaafin held the central political and spiritual authority, while the Kakanfo, the title held by Afonja, was the commander-in-chief of the empire's formidable military. This delicate balance of power meant that if either the Alaafin or the Kakanfo became too powerful or too ambitious, conflict could arise. Aule became the Alaafin at a time when the Oyo Empire was already facing internal and external challenges. His reign was not universally accepted, and he faced opposition from various quarters. Afonja, being a powerful entity within the empire, was one of those who challenged Aule's decisions and policies. One of the main catalysts for the rebellion was that Alaafin Aule ordered Afonja to launch a military campaign against a town known as Apum without just cause. Apum was a significant part of the Ile-Ife kingdom. It was an essential religious and political center for the Yoruba people. Recognizing the injustice of this campaign, Afonja decided to defy the order. The act of defiance was not just a military decision but a political one, signaling a break between the Kakanfo and the Alaafin. Meanwhile, the Fulanis, primarily a pastoralist group in West Africa, were consolidating power in the Hausa city-state to the north of Yoruba land. The Fulani war, often referred to as the Fulani Jihad, led by Usman Dan Fodio, resulted in the establishment of Sokoto Caliphate in the Hausa's land. This newly established power began expanding its influence. To bolster his power, Afonja formed an alliance with a Fulani scholar and warrior named Alimi. Initially, this alliance was to counteract the power of the Alaafin. However, it will later prove to be a miscalculation on Afonja's part. Over time, Alimi's influence and that of the Fulanese community grew in Ilorin. The once benevolent masters who had shown kindness to them in the past were now rewarded with protection against the predatory actions of their fellow comrades. Those who had been unkind were now subjected to heartless revenge. These individuals were no longer seen as mere slaves, but rather as servants of the Kakanfo. Thoughtful individuals grew anxious about the impending harm to the nation that the unchecked misconduct of this Fulani group could cause. Yet, no one possessed the courage to remonstrate with the Kakanfo or appeal to him regarding their wrongdoings. Only Fagbon, the chief of Jabata, dared to do so due to his position as the commander of the Kakanfo left-wing army. His boldness incurred the Kakanfo's displeasure. To ensnare Fagbon, Afonja called upon all provincial baales to gather at Ilorin. But Fagbon, learning of this plan, managed to escape back to his town. However, Afonja realized his mistake when it was too late. His pride and arrogance led to his downfall. Despite his high status, he underestimated his vulnerability and remained unaware of the growing disloyalty among the Fulani. He wrongly believed that he could easily suppress their ambitions and lawlessness. His threats only fueled their discontent. Ultimately, he failed to control their actions as impunity has emboldened them. Eventually, the Kakanfo decided to act on his threats and disband the Fulani group. However, his assessment of his own strength was flawed. The death of his brother Agoni and his ex-slave Lasipa had deprived him of crucial support from powerful figures. His overbearing attitude had also alienated influential chiefs and allies. Fearing an imminent attack from the Fulani group, he secretly summoned other powerful chiefs to Ilorin, urging them to aid in eradicating the Fulani's rebellion. But the plan was leaked to the Fulani members, who swiftly rose against him, led by Alimi the priest. Solagberu of Okesuna, a Yoruba leader, declared neutrality. The Kakanfo found himself besieged in his residence but fought valiantly. Overwhelmed by his superior numbers, he dispatched his ex-slave Bugari to seek Solagberu's help. However, Solagberu deceitfully detained Bugari, questioning why their master now sought their aid after previously treating them as inferiors. This treacherous act was a decision Solagberu would come to regret. The mighty Kakanfo faced disappointment from all sides, as neither Bugari or Solagberu of Okesuna arrived. He couldn't hold out until the arrival of Onekoyi's assistance. Forced to defend himself within his burning house, he ultimately emerged onto the street with his loyal few. The insurgents encircled them, launching numerous charges, yet failing to break their steadfast ranks. Amidst a chaos of battle, Afonja himself fought with utmost desperation, his figure surrounded by the fallen bodies of his loyal attendants. As the day's outcome became apparent, some of his followers lost heart and abandoned him, while the rest opted to stand by him until the end. He fell like a true hero. The rain of spears and arrows was so strong that they ate his body up. His presence was so strong that the treacherous Fulani fighters he had led to win so many times couldn't believe he was dead. Even after his battle was over, they kept throwing things at him. They were afraid to get too close to his body because they thought he might suddenly come back to life and be ready to fight again. Eventually, one of the Fulani fighters, more audacious than the rest, cautiously approached his body, placing an arrow in his hand and witnessing that he could no longer grasp it. They finally accepted the reality of his death. His remains were collected and given a funeral pyre, reduced to ashes. Alimi, the cunning friend turned traitor, took Afonja's vulnerable children and family under his protection. He spun a tale of misunderstanding, claiming that a veil had tragically led to the downfall of his old friends. Afonja's house was reconstructed and the remnant of his followers were allowed to inhabit it. However, the control of the town was now in the hands of the victor. So that was how Ilorin was eventually taken over by outsiders, the Fulanis, who were initially invited as friends and allies. These foreigners displayed superior political acumen, recognizing the Yorubas' vulnerabilities and internal strife. They cleverly manipulated rival chiefs against one another, undermining the entire kingdom. Through their more compassionate treatment of defeated foes and skillful strategy of reconciling with an uncrushable power, they demonstrated their mastery of the art of governance. Following Afonja's fall, Ilorin became a vassal state of the Sokoto Caliphate and a base for further Fulani expansion into Yoruba land. This shift in power dynamics had long-term consequences for the region, as Ilorin, originally a Yoruba city, became culturally and politically aligned with the northern Fulani-led emirates. Thus faded away a figure who will forever remain engraved in the chronicles of Yoruba history as the leader of a revolution that culminated in the fragmentation of the Yoruba land. As time progressed, the Fulani's plan to expand their domination into Yoruba territory became clear. The story of Ilorin is a sad monument of this ambition. Originally a Yoruba city, its return eluded native forces, making it a lasting symbol of Fulani hegemony. However, the story does not end with surrender. The Yoruba spirit proved unbreakable as the Fulanis discovered during their failed effort to take Osogbo in 1840. The Yoruba fortitude was further demonstrated in the hotly contested Jalome War of 1878 at Ikiron. It is worthy of note that the name Ikiron has nothing to do with Islam, contrary to popular belief and how some performers state. Its etymology, on the other hand, is profoundly steeped in Yoruba history. Ikiron derives its name from the Yoruba word Iki and Ron, which means hand and together, respectively. The town was given the name Ikiron because it was a gathering point for people to sell and exchange commodities. We will delve further into this critical event in future videos, uncovering the fortitude, strategies, and fiery souls of a people committed to defend their history. Join us as we continue our journey through West African history, uncovering stories of bravery, defiance, and hope.